So.
The X Zone Radio Show is heard on radio broadcast affiliates worldwide, including
AM 580 CFRA in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada.
WPUL AM 1590 in Daytona Beach, Florida.
KOHI AM 1610 in St. Helens, Oregon.
KHRO AM 1150 in El Paso, Texas. And for more information on becoming a professional broadcast affiliate of the X Zone Radio Show, visit
www.xzbn.net
or call toll-free worldwide
1-800-610-7035.
The X Zone radio and TV show is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone radio and TV show or in any manner endorsed by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, Talkstar Radio Network, its affiliated stations, or employees.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our studio in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free, 1-800-610-7035. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. Dr. Curtis Kuhn is my special guest this hour. He is with the Metabolic Institute. Now, the Metabolic Institute is a corporation formed by Dr. Curtis Kuhn after 24 years of personal experience on metabolic therapy. The core of this nutritional protocol is the science commonly known as metabolic typing. Its founder and scientific creator, Dr. William Donald Kelly, founder of the International Health Institute and co-founder of the College of Metabolic Medicine. As you discover more information about this unique science during your visit to his website, you should know that Dr. Kelly's work has been literally decades ahead of any other nutritional program currently in the world. Joining me now to talk about the Metabolic Institute is its founder, Dr. Curtis Kuhn. And Dr. Kuhn, welcome to the X Zone. How are you this evening, sir?
Good. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate you getting me on your show.
It's great having you with us. Tell me, when did you begin metabolic therapy and why?
Well, in 1985, I started in February of 1985, and I'd been in and out of hospitals and clinics since 1975 when I got out of the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. And, in 76, I had a lot of problems with my adrenal glands. I thought I had pheochromocytoma, which is a cancer of the adrenal glands. And they didn't really want to treat it. They thought that if I did chemo, it probably would kill me. So
Yeah.
I did some actually I did some biofeedback to control my blood pressure, and we found out 2 years later that I had polycythemia, which is too many red blood cells. So I had to start giving blood every 3 months. I did that for the next decade or so. And in '79, they found out I had diabetes and severe hypoglycemia too. So I had to control that. And then of course, when I was in undergraduate school, I went to several universities trying to find some answers. Almost went to medical school. And when we skipped over the chapter metabolism in 1981 at Marymount College in Salina, Kansas, I decided not to go to medical school. And 3 years later, I found Dr. Kelly, read his book, Metabolic Ecology, and started metabolic therapy in 1985. So that's kind of what led me to that. And I grew up on a farm in eastern Kansas, and I was very healthy as a young boy, and I knew that nutrition was the key to life. I kind of innately knew that someone out there had the answers to all these different problems that I had.
All right, stand by, Dr. Kuhn. You and I have to take a commercial break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Exonation, Dr. Curtis Kuhn is my special guest. We're talking about the Metabolic Institute this hour here on the Exxon. Dr. Kuhn's website is www.themetabolicInstitute.com. And the good doctor and I will return on the other side of this 2-minute commercial break. Don't go away. Exonation, Dr. Curtis Kuhn is our special guest. He is the founder of the Metabolic Institute. Their website is www.themetabolicInstitute.com. So tell us more on how you ended up realizing that nutrition is a big part of what happens in our lives.
Well, I'd been in undergraduate school. We weren't learning anything about that. And when I was in, pre-med, I was getting ready to graduate midterm, actually, 1981. In upper-level anatomy and physiology, we got to the chapter on metabolism. And Dr. Zekas told us that day, he goes, well, students, we have great news and we had bad news today. The great news is you don't have to study this chapter. The bad news is we don't study it in medical school. And I said, wait a minute, Doc, you're telling me that I'm getting ready to go to medical school. You're telling me I'm not going to learn how to rebuild my body after all these years of problems with my health? He goes, oh, no, we haven't figured that out yet, Curtis. I'm like, well, seriously, why would I go to medical school? And he said, well, you need to address that. You need to consider that. Well, I didn't have to wait very long. I spent about a day pondering it, and I decided not to go. And then 3 years later, I read Dr. Kelly's book in health food stores. But back then, in 1983, there was nothing out there, no information hardly at all. And at the time, my wife was a nurse, and she worked in oncology at Wesley Hospital in Wichita, Kansas. And she read the book, and she goes, Curtis, you need to do this therapy. And I said, wait a minute, you laugh at me when I take supplements. She goes, that's because you don't know what you need. Dr. Kelly has it down to a science since 1963. And I said, well, you don't have to twist my arm. I'm ready to go. And it was kind of interesting because I had to do a SMAC 20 blood profile along with a 3,200 question questionnaire, which took me like 20 hours to fill out. And my blood work came back the next day, and he said, see your physician immediately. You have a liver dysfunction with malignancy. And I said, what? Because I hadn't seen a doctor in a couple of years. And we both decided we're going to Dallas, and we're starting Dr. Kelly's therapy. So I did, and the rest was, it was like something out of a book. In fact, I started writing a book a year later, my first book, which was called Metabolic Metamorphosis, because I went through so many changes. I was a bodybuilder in the Marine Corps, and for 10 years I could never make any gains. I was always 5'9", 150. The first 3 years on metabolic therapy, from 85 to 88, I still remained the same height and weight, but I rebuilt my internal organs. In the fourth year, I started to grow. I went from 5'9", 150 to 5'10", 200, and I've been there ever since. I reached my genetic potential at age 34 in 89. My bodybuilder friends used to accuse me of doing steroids. I said, I don't even work out. Why would I do steroids? They were like, your bones are bigger, Curtis.
Yeah.
I said, look, read my book, Metabolic Metamorphosis.
So how does the metabolic metamorphosis actually work physiologically?
Well, Dr. Kelly based his concepts on the autonomic nervous system, which chiropractors, that's what they use, of course, when they address for adjusting your spine. But the autonomic nervous system is preset at the moment of conception, just like your eye color, your skin color, your bone structure. You have one of those three areas that is dominant, the sympathetic, parasympathetic, or the balanced, either vegetarian genetically, carnivorous genetically, or in the middle, kind of a mixed type. And so during your lifetime, if you have deficiencies and if you have stress and polluted air and water and all these different things that we're bombarded with on a daily basis, your metabolic types begins to shift. And when it shifts and you start having degenerative problems, if you can't catabolize or break down certain foods or elements, then, like I have an old saying, if it doesn't break down, it's going to stick around. That's what we're seeing happening, especially in this country, in America. My gosh, that's a big problem right now. So, and I had, not only did I have liver dysfunction, but of course I had the polycythemia, too many red blood cells. I had to give blood every few months, and I had they thought I had pheochromocytoma in the mid-70s, and the diabetes, of course. So I had a lot of problems. I broke my neck when I was 17. I fell off the high bar in gymnastics my senior year of high school. My
Holy
head.
cow.
So I had a hairline C1 fracture all the way through that. By a miracle of God, I don't know why I wasn't quadriplegic, but I wasn't. So, but it caused some pituitary gland problems. That's why I had the human growth hormone wasn't being secreted, in my late teens and early 20s. And that's why I went through the growth process in my early 30s. I'm a very unusual case. I shouldn't be alive at all. I've used up probably 7 of my 9 lives for sure.
So is this why you've dedicated your life to this cause?
Well, absolutely. That first seminar in Dallas, February 85, it was a resort to health workshop. There were like 30 people. Everybody had cancer. One girl from Korea died the second day. She had bone cancer. It was very serious. And it was a 3-day symposium, and when I finished up and I was leaving, I wrote about this in my book, of course, because I love to write creatively, but I said, Dr. Kelly, I shook his hand, I smiled, I said, I don't know if I'm going to live or die in this program. I really don't. But I guarantee you one thing. If I live, I'm going to tell the world. And he smiled and said, I need more people like you. And I've kept true to my word. And it's been tough. It's been 25 years ago, my family and friends, I'm from Kansas, come on, the Bible Belt. And so we were, when I started talking about what we do with metabolic typing, people were like, whoa, that's voodoo, Curtis. I'm like, no, it's not. It's good common sense. I grew up on a farm. It takes everything to the 10th level. It's really quite easy to understand when you start looking at it.
Now, I understand that you're also making a movie entitled The Metabolic Mission.
Yes, after my second book. And our screenwriter started working on it 5 years ago out there in Los Angeles, and we finally found a film company, a Christian-based film company in Hollywood that's agreed to do the movie. So they're working with each other right now. They're doing some editing, and they've taken my story, my true story, and they've taken it to a Hollywood level. It's going to be a thriller-type movie, and they've changed the timelines quite a bit because I was a private investigator in Las Vegas for 6 years. And I borrowed money from the mob or a loan shark, and that's a real thing. I'm not proud of that, but it's one of those things I had to deal with. It was a terrible thing, but so that's in there, and of course there's some chase scenes and gunfight scenes and so forth that didn't happen, but it's very interesting the way they're putting it together. So it should be good.
You've also created a new form of entertainment called lecture theater. Now we've all heard about a lecture theater. What's so different about this one?
Well, what I've done is I sing professionally. Once I got my voice back in the late 80s, I started performing again. And in fact, as I told you earlier, Rob, that CD that I sent you, which you haven't received yet, but I ended with a song in '91 that I wrote for Governor Finney. That year, she gave me the I Believe I Can Achieve award for overcoming liver cancer. There was a handful of people that got the award for different things, and I ended the ceremony there at the state capitol in Topeka, Kansas, with the song I wrote. It's a gospel song called "Join Hands." And Barry Sanders, he's a Heisman Trophy winner, played for Oklahoma, years ago in Detroit Lions. He's retired now, but his mother and 5 sisters of the choir that backed me up on that record. Very proud of that song. But I really started singing. In fact, I moved to Vegas in '94 to start singing, which I did professionally for a few years. So I've taken my story, my first book, Metabolic Metamorphosis, and the changes I went through, especially physiologically, because I changed so much dynamically. I went from wearing a 40 jacket to like a 52, in 4 years. So I grew so tremendously that I wanted to show that. So I've combined I play a 12-string guitar. I've been writing music for 35 years. I do some pop music. We have a widescreen slide presentation, and I tell my story. We use sound effects. We use special effects, and I wanted to really entertain people besides educate them too, which is kind of the era we live in now. And people want to be entertained while they're educated, it seems like. So that's been a long working process, but we're getting ready to put that together.
Now tell me, after 25 years on this program, do you still experience changes?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Oh, I almost died recently. My girlfriend and I, we moved, we were in I brought my old girlfriend from 32 years ago back in Kansas. We dated in college. We got back together 4 years ago in Las Vegas. She came out to see me. She went back to Kansas and sold her home, and she came out, and she worked for Station Casinos, a huge conglomerate there, about overnight. She had to work so much. But, we just, we came back to Kansas. She got tired of it. She wanted to come back and get a job back here. So I said, okay, well, I have my consulting service. I can go anywhere. We moved into a house, sight unseen, and we didn't know it, but it had a full basement that had been empty for 25 years. Very old house, almost 100 years old. It used to be a Baptist church. And the sewer system, whenever we put anything through our system, our toilet, the water, the sink, anything was coming up in the basement from the moment we moved in. We didn't know it. So we had all the sewage on the floor for almost 2.5 months, and the black mold was beginning to grow. And it almost killed us. We were getting eye infections. Our kitties were getting sick every morning. We couldn't figure it out. She got a lung infection. She almost died on me. It was just horrendous. And we finally, I went downstairs, and because it was our tornado shelter, and I took a look. I had the key to the door, and it was a foot of water and mold and sewage, and it was just terrible. So, but anyways, we overcame that. So, and thank goodness for my program, because it brought me back. My immune system came back. My short-term memory was gone for about 2 months. It affected my nervous system, and it affected her lungs. She was on antibiotics twice, and an inhaler, and then she had to take steroids. And she has fibromyalgia. She's been on their program now for 4 years, so thank goodness that she had that to fall back on too. But
people just don't realize the danger and hazards of mold. They're oblivious to it.
They don't.
Yeah, but it's very dangerous.
In fact, ironically, I got to throw this in there. When I was a private investigator in Las Vegas, started in '95, one of the first cases that our firm worked on in conjunction with 2 other firms was the Stachybotrys, the black mold in an apartment complex in East Vegas that several hundred people had got sick and several died. And we interviewed them over a course of a year. And I ran into one of those people in 2003 one night singing karaoke in Vegas, and they had won their lawsuit. Several $1 million, finally. And when that company came out and cleaned up that basement, when we moved, I went back and talked to them and told them about that case. And they said, we studied your case in our textbooks, which was pretty ironic. But I said, well, it's kind of strange here. I was one of the lead investigators on that, and I almost died of it, back in Kansas. So.
All right, Curtis, please stand by. We've got to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. X Zone Nation, Curtis Kuhn is our special guest, the Metabolic Institute. And we'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as the X Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My name is Rob McConnell. Don't go away. You're listening to the X Zone Radio Show, live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network, X Zone Broadcast Network, UK High Definition Radio,
Euro High Definition Radio,
and Star Cable. Our toll-free telephone number worldwide is 1-800-610-7035.
Our email address, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com.
On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com,
And our website,
www.xzoneradiotv.com.
Why do I feel like I'm losing control?
Exonation, Dr. Curtis Kuhn is our special guest. He is the founder of the Metabolic Institute, www.metabolicinstitute.com. Tell me, Curtis, can cancer and these other diseases that have been plaguing humanity for years and years and years really be beaten?
Oh yes, I have no doubt about that. And there's a lot of approaches towards that now, besides the allopathic medical industry. But I mean, I've seen many cases myself. My co-host of my radio show right here in Kansas is Marshall Gagne. He had prostate cancer 3 years ago. He's 61. He lives in North Carolina. He's a martial artist. Has been an instructor for 40 years. In fact, they just won the world championship like last week. So he's all excited about that. All his students won that.
Oh, okay. That's but if cancer and all these other diseases can be beaten, why isn't this approach being used in the hospitals?
Well, it is. It's starting to slowly. I see it. There's some hospitals right in the Midwest here that incorporate it, combining. But, when you do that, you're going two different directions, because obviously what we use is all holistic. So you're going one direction. You're rebuilding, you're rebalancing, you're breaking down metabolic toxicity, and you're getting rid of it. It's a balancing act every day. When you're doing chemo or hormone therapy or cobalt therapy with that's taking you the completely opposite direction. Do you remember Michael Landon, the actor?
Certainly.
Yes, in 1991 he passed away. In fact, the same month that I was doing the national talk show circuit, I sold out that month with my first book. But he was on Johnny Carson a month before he passed away, and he looked fantastic. And Johnny even said, Michael, I know your prognosis is not good, but you look incredible. What are you doing? And he goes, well, I'm doing chemo and hormone therapy. It's experimental. But I'm doing metabolic therapy. And Johnny said, well, what's that? He goes, well, I'm doing 100 supplements a day and eating the right foods and juicing every day, carrot juice and Beeler's broth, and then I do my detoxification, and so it's getting rid of all these sloughed off cancer cells. But every time I go back in for chemo, it just knocks me down, and I'm out for a couple of weeks. So what he was doing, he was doing great, but he was going two different directions, and he broke down the cancer, the malignancy too fast. Of course, he slid into a coma and he passed away. So. It's I don't know. I hate to say it's a dollar thing, but our therapy is very inexpensive, very inexpensive. I mean, gosh, gallbladder liver flush is basically free. We just teach people how to detoxify their gallbladders and their liver and their kidneys, lymphatic system, and their colon. So it's a learning. It's really an educational type program. So,
but once again, if these systems really do work, how come there are so many people dying every year with cancer and other diseases? Why isn't the medical community just jumping on board?
Well, and I think it's number one, it's the protocols that they've been taught. We all only know what we've been taught. even I only know what I've been taught. But I had enough sense to get out of it and not go, follow it through with medical school, because I wanted to learn how to rebuild. And it's just not an area that's taught. It really isn't. I mean, they do incredible things in the surgery rooms, and gosh, some of the treatment they have for different breaks and burns and surgeries is incredible. But when it comes to rebuilding, I mean, that's up to the individual. It takes, I mean, it's kind of hard to be a doctor with this one client and walk around with them 24 hours a day, So I think it's just, and there's an evolution taking place. It really is. Things are evolving slowly. It's slow to happen. So, another thing I see is a lot of people in the alternative industry, like my industry, they make so many claims, and it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, I've been doing this 25 years. And 25 years ago, there was nothing out there, and there was nothing. And now, all of a sudden, there's just hundreds and hundreds of programs and therapies. They all have a small piece of the puzzle, but I believe Dr. Kelly put it all together. And once you know your metabolic type, and then you start addressing that correctly, incredible things really start to happen. They really do.
All right. So, what are some of the what are the key what are some of the key features in using metabolic therapy?
Well, the first thing is do a questionnaire. And Dr. Kelly took his old questionnaire from the 60s, which was 3,200 questions, which is just, incredibly hard. It took about 20 hours to fill it out. And now he reduced it to 400 questions over the last 20 years. And I still have clients that they cry about that. Well, gosh, it takes 5 hours. I'm like, that's a piece of cake compared to the old questionnaire. Well, we have to have a lot of information. But once you're done, you know your metabolic type, your functional type, where you're at currently. And so we address that. And we know what foods you should be eating specifically, the supplements to rebalance your body chemistry and help rebuild. And then we give you tools to detoxify the liver, the blood, kidneys, lymphatic system, and the colon. So we hand you the tools and we educate you, and then you take control of your health, which is a little bit different than the philosophy of allopathic medicine over the last 75 years. It's changing. They're starting to work closer with their people, and it's just it's a very systematic approach to getting your body exactly what it needs at the cellular level. And I think the medical industry is still trying to figure that one out.
What are some of the questions that are asked in this 400 question questionnaire? And if the questionnaire is such a key component of the metabolic cure, how come it's not being used once again by mainstream medicine?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd like to know the answer to that one myself. I think I know it, but I'm not quite sure. But just your history, your whole medical history, your background. Did you have any childhood diseases? What did you have? Your developmental years, milk allergies, food allergies. Because we need to know how you're assimilating. Because 100% of every client I've had the last 24 years, the first problem is catabolizing foods. They can't break it down. So, once you start taking pancreatic enzymes, so the correct amount of enzymes, and you start breaking down these foods and rebalancing your hydrochloric acid and your acid-alkaline balance of your body chemistry, then everything starts changing. And I'm a psychologist first, so that was my first approach was, wow, my brain's coming back. And I was working with an insurance company back in '85, and all of a sudden the lights came on. I was like, wow. And I was getting my other license for homeowners and auto and commercial. And then I was going to school on weekends in Dallas for Dr. Kelly, getting my master's in metabolic therapy. My brain came back first. That's how the body rebuilds, and the brain, and from the top down and inside out. So the brain and central nervous system first. And I'm a great case study, because you can look at me over the first 4 years, and as I started to rebuild, my nervous system was shot, then my internal organs rebuild, and then finally my bones and muscles. So it's quite a really incredible transformation. I'm definitely not a normal case. I'm very unusual.
What are some of the best foods people can eat to, in order to start getting themselves back on track, metabolically speaking?
Well, I'd say, juicing is an incredible way of getting all your enzymes. Especially if you're getting organic foods, and it's not so hard to get anymore. Markets all over the world now are utilizing organics more often because there's a demand for that. And then, getting just trying to eat closer to the earth. The things our ancestors ate 100 years ago weren't even available. Now, my gosh, there's like 60,000 chemicals in the food additives in the stores when you go in. So I'd say if we go shopping, if it's real, eat it. If you can't pronounce it, it probably won't break down. Pretty simple, really. But, of course, vegetables, fruits, and grains, and nuts and seeds, and parasympathetics need more fats and protein in their diet, whereas sympathetics are more vegetarian, so they lean towards that. And for my dissertation, for my doctorate, that's what I focused on, the 3 different modes of the autonomic nervous system and the 3 metabolic types, which goes into, there's 4 in each category, so it's 12 altogether. So the parasympathetics, like myself, tend to be a very large frame, barrel-chested, very right brain dominant, creative, gregarious, easygoing. The sympathetic dominants are left brain dominant, very analytical, logical, vegetarians. And they get up at 5 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock at night, they're ready to hit the rack. When the parasympathetics, they like to stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning and eat pizza and sleep in till noon. Mm-hmm. Typically, I mean that's kind of a exaggeration, but those really are the extreme metabolic types. And of course, those in the middle that are balanced kind of have equal access, and their body structure looks like that too. So, it's pretty easy to determine by looking at somebody, at least how they're functioning. Now, genetically, they may have completely flipped types, like my girlfriend. When we dated in 1978, she's this little bitty 110-pound girl, and when she got fibromyalgia 20 years ago, she started putting on weight because her body structure completely changed, her body chemistry, her digestive system. Her father passed away from gallbladder cancer, her grandfather, her great-grandfather, and she had gallbladder problems. And she's passed thousands of gallstones just doing gallbladder flushes. So she's being rebalanced, and she's 50 now, and she's probably going to live a lot longer. So it's it's great to see people come back.
How much havoc does stress and our fast-paced lifestyle these days play against the metabolic system?
Oh, well, a lot, good grief. I know that. I lived in Las Vegas 16 years, and I was a private investigator for 6, so it really wasn't too stressful. I was always chasing somebody, but they never knew I was after them. So, but the traffic was killing me. In fact, that's why I quit. I told my boss, I said, Jimmy, I'm not scared of getting shot. I'm afraid of getting run over, man. I got hit and run, and people chasing me, and it's crazy out there. There's almost 3 million people. But your body, if you're getting all the nutrients you need at the cellular level, then you can deal with the stress much easier. I mean, when I started the program, my central nervous system was shot. It was it was amazing I was alive. I really should have died years ago. But it had to rebuild first. It had to. I mean, I used to perform in college. When I would sing, I would just shake on stage. I wanted to sing, but I just didn't have the ability. And my calcium levels were so off balance that I used to kind of talk like this, and I sounded like a girl because my hormone levels were off too. So I had a lot to contend with. I really did. I wasn't your average Joe that was going through different problems. Everything was exaggerated. But being an old Marine, I just knew that I was never going to give up. Never.
Hey, Curtis, tell me about fast food. Does that work against us as well?
Not so much. I mean, I know fast food gets a bad name a lot of the times. Trans fatty acids in deep fried foods, yeah. I mean, you destroy the enzymes at 104, 108 degrees, so that's not so good. But there's a lot of other good foods that are out there that are fast food. And I've been watching. My girlfriend loves to watch television, all these food channels. She's a good cook, so she always gets these new recipes. But a lot of these restaurants around the country are starting to they're doing fast food, but they're making it organic, and they're adding vegetables and fruits, and so it's catching on. It's really catching on.
Tell us about the Metabolic Institute.
Well, I created that in 2005 because Dr. Kelly's dream, back when I was the last class that went through in 1985 and 86, the International Health Institute, and his dream was to, of course, reach millions of people with our program and to, again, start teaching. A lot of things happened in the late 80s with the Institute when it closed. And so I want to pick up the ball where he left off. You know, he passed away in 2005. He was 79. He had lived a long life, a rough life. I mean, the man had polio when he was a child and overcame liver pancreatic cancer in his early 30s, created this protocol, and he was just a genius. He was just a very inspirational man, but a very spiritual man too. And so I just wanted to somehow give back to mankind what he gave me. He gave me a chance. He gave me a second chance. I mean, I prayed for death a year into the therapy. I was in a coma for a week. I passed gallstones the size of golf balls. But the weird thing about that is he predicted it a year earlier when I started the therapy. He goes, you know, you're too sick to have cancer. I said, well, what do you mean by that? At that point, I thought he was another quack, you know, and I've seen a lot of doctors, and I was pretty tired of it all. He goes, well, Curtis, your blood work indicates malignancy, but you have worse problems. I said, what's worse than cancer, liver cancer? Are you nuts? He goes, well, you have 50 to 70 trillion cells, Curtis, and everyone's like a miniature trash can. And your trash has nowhere to go. And I thought for a moment, you know, I still went to the gym every day and tried to work out. I was half dead, but I couldn't sweat, had no oil to my skin. I was like, okay, I understand that kind of. He goes, secondly, you're going to have to die to get better. I said, what does that mean? He goes, well, there'll come a point, about a year into the therapy, you'll think you're going to die, but you won't. And that was a year to the month when I slid into that semi-coma for a week. So,
all right, stand by, Curtis. You and I have to take our commercial break. We'll be right back. Dr. Curtis Kuhn is our special guest, Exonation, the metabolicinstitute.com, and we'll be back on the other side of this break as the Exxon continues with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Now, I think I know why it sounded so strange on the telephone. Well, it's hard when you discover what keeps you going, keeps you all alone. Our dreams so the smoke might never clear, and you hide it all behind endless cigarettes and tears. Somebody waits for the time I know it never comes.
Curtis Kuhn is our guest. He is the founder of the Metabolic Institute, www.metabolicinstitute.com. So can people actually go to the Metabolic Institute to get their treatments, or is it strictly online?
Well, it's basically online. What I do is when I get someone that's interested in doing the program, we have them do a questionnaire first. And once we know their type, then I work with them. And I do have a consultation fee, but I work with them. I offer them a package. And depending how far away they are, I do have clients right here in the Midwest, but I have some even in other countries. So it's sometimes you have to work via the telephone, but I make my lines open so we can talk anytime, especially if they have any degenerative problems at all, because you take them by the hand the first couple of months, and it's kind of like riding a bicycle. So once they start riding, they cut it down for the months. So it's it's awesome to watch people go through changes if you can see them physically too, and it's pretty incredible.
Tell me, what do you think the future holds for this nutritional protocol?
Well, you know, you've asked that question about why does the medical industry not utilize this program so much, and I see some changes taking place. I don't know, you know Suzanne Summers, I'm sure.
Sure.
She's got that
Thigh
best-selling
Master
book, Knockout, right now, and she's taken Dr. Gonzalez by the hand, and they're doing the national talk show circuit. I saw him on Larry King. I think they're on Oprah. And Dr. Gonzalez does metabolic therapy. In fact, he studied under Dr. Kelly the same time I did. And he just came out with his book, One Man Alone. He worked on 25 years, I guess. He interviewed 1,000 of Dr. Kelly's patients, cancer patients that survived. And it was pretty incredible. So, in fact, I've talked with Suzanne Summers' agent. I said, hey, have her call me. We're doing a movie. I'm sure once she hears that, she'll probably get a hold of me. But it's interesting because Dr. Gonzalez, he's an MD now also, and he's had problems in the industry trying to get it going with them. Some people are pro, some are con, and I think it's because they don't understand it. They've never tried it. I've been on the program 25 years. My bottom line is just tell the truth. Just tell the truth.
But isn't it, speaking about the truth, but isn't it the truth that some of these programs work for one person but will not work for the next?
That's the key to metabolic typing, because there's so many programs out there that are one-size-fits-all, and this isn't. Because once you determine your metabolism type and what area you're functioning in, and I tell you what, if you just take anybody off the street and start detoxifying their body, they'll see tremendous results without adding any food or supplement. So, it's funny because when I started this therapy in 1985, Dr. Kelly said cancer hits 1 out of 5 people. He said in 20 to 25 years it will be 1 out of 2. We're almost there. And everything he predicted was just right on precise. He was a man with numbers, man. He had it down to the 10th, And it's true. Everything that he's talked about 25 years ago, I've seen come to pass. And I don't know, I just but and I have a lot of friends that say, well, Curtis, I took a vow of poverty almost for 25 years.
Hey, Curtis, I hate to do this, but the clock on the wall says I've got to take off. I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. Quickly, give our listeners your website.
Yes, it is Metabolic, METABOLIC, Institute.com.
Thanks a lot, Curtis. Take care of yourself now. Be well. Exonation, Curtis Kuhn. I'll be back on the other side of this break as the X Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My name is Rob McConnell. Don't go away.